Pedestrianize Wall Street. Well, the impetus for pedestrianizing Wall Street was, in fact, the September 11th attacks. The thought was that if the terrorists targeted the World Trade Center as the symbol of American capitalism and American culture, then Wall Street would be next, the New York Stock Exchange. So the possibility of a truck bomb here was too great, and they pedestrianized the street with bollards and other objects. So, what has pedestrianization meant down here? Well, for one, it's turned this into this huge tourist attraction. I mean, tourists love to come down here more than they ever did before, and to see all the beautiful architecture, and to see, frankly, the seat of American capitalism. It's a tourist attraction. That's okay. It's here, and it's interesting. It's also really been part of the, I would say, the decommercialization and the residentialization of this area of the financial district. Because part of what happened post September 11th is that you see people are moving down here to live. This was always the civic district, the financial district. It's where people came to work and they lived elsewhere. But many of these buildings are now being converted into residential buildings, and there's new buildings going up. Again, people want to live and work in more or less the same neighborhood and be able to walk for their commute. And that's honestly a great way to live. And it's something that we should be making available to more people, not just the wealthy people who trade stocks on the New York Stock Exchange, but everyone should be able to, if they want to, live and work within walking distance of each other, because that way you cut out all those wasted hours driving, all that wasted gas, all the deaths, injuries, and everything else that comes from excessive motor vehicle transport. Why shouldn't people live near where they work? And that's what we've got going on in the financial district now. Economic vibrancy generated by not just tourism, but just the fact that people are out on foot in between where they live and work. They stop in shops. They buy things. I mean, people think that reducing car traffic is a hit to economic activity, but the reverse is true. I know from speaking with commercial real estate brokers, I know here in New York City, that what determines the cost per square foot of retail space is the amount of foot traffic, not the amount of car traffic. Because even if someone in a car driving around in the financial district sees a store or shop they think is interesting, they might want to go shopping in, there's nowhere to park. Or if they do park, they're paying at least $15, $20, $30 just to go shopping for an hour. Well, that makes no sense, right? There are very few people who have the money and, would make that choice. People want to be able to walk from shop to shop, and that is what makes for a vibrant, economically productive shopping district. And that's what we've got down here through the pedestrianization of Wall Street, through congestion pricing, and through all the other steps that we've taken to create a pleasant, vibrant pedestrian environment. The people who are saying that New York City is choking off its economic vitality by restricting the space for cars, they just don't get it. They just don't get that this isn't a big strip mall. They don't get, and think about it as like a suburban mall. Everyone's walking around and all the stores are there. That's one of the reasons why that type of mall is successful, is because people can get out of their car and they can enjoy shopping on foot. Well, in New York City, we're not going to be able to build a giant mall like that, unless we're going to make it part of the transit center like we did over at the Oculus and the World Trade Center and the Fulton Mall. For the most part, we've got a number of buildings, each of which is owned by a different owner, and they're not going to be consolidated into a single continuous indoor space like a suburban mall. No, we're going to have a streetscape that people can walk along, and they can check out each shop as they go along, and each shop has a different owner, a different feel, a different vibe, and they come together to create a vibrant, diverse streetscape that is attractive to people and makes them want to stop and spend money. That's the secret sauce of the city, and you foster it. The more space you pedestrianize. Yes, we do need ways for motor vehicles to get in, to deliver goods, to deliver emergency services. There's a role for motor vehicles in the city, but it's commercial. Private motoring in New York City should be extremely limited. It should be focused around the needs of people who are mobility impaired. It should be available for people who are disabled, who need to have motor vehicle transport. But for the most part, people should be relying on buses and subways and foot and bikes to get around our city. And that's how you get people who are ready to spend money and support the businesses that they learn about and see, because they're moving at, human speeds. You can actually take a look in a shop as you're riding past it in a bike, and certainly if you're walking past it on foot, and you can see what they're offering and what's interesting to you or not, or go on to the next shop. When you're driving through, you've decided what your destination is going to be. You program it into your, GPS, and you just drive to get there. You could be passing things that were of much greater interest to you, but you wouldn't even know it because they're going past too fast and you're not even paying attention. So it's a completely different way of engaging with your environment when you have a pedestrianized environment. You're doing it at a human tempo, at a human scale, and a way where you can really interact with your environment and the other people in it. If you are traveling by car to do all of those things, you are dramatically diminishing the opportunities for any kind of economic activity. And honestly, if we were really concerned about promoting economic vitality and productivity, we would be shutting down car traffic, because it is proven that it is foot traffic that actually generates economic activity and sales.